Lupita Nyong'o, the radiant Kenyan-Mexican actress whose luminous presence has illuminated screens from independent indies to Marvel blockbusters, has never shied away from confronting the complexities of representation in Hollywood. Her Oscar-winning debut in 12 Years a Slave catapulted her into the stratosphere, but the aftermath, a barrage of typecast offers that confined her brilliance to chains and suffering, left her navigating a labyrinth of stereotypes with the grace of a warrior and the fire of a storyteller determined to rewrite her narrative. In a candid revelation, Nyongo unpacked the emotional toll of those early post-award months, a very tender time, where triumph intertwined with erasure, forcing her to recalibrate her career on her own terms. Winning the Best Supporting Actress Academy Award at just 31 for her harrowing portrayal of Patsy, a literate, resilient enslaved woman in Steve McQueen's unflinching 2013 masterpiece, marked Nyongo as a force. The role demanded everything: physical endurance in Louisiana's sweltering cotton fields, emotional excavation of trauma's depths, and a quiet defiance that turned Patsy into an icon of survival. Critics hailed it as a revelation, audiences wept at her vulnerability, and suddenly doors swung open. Yet those doors led not to diverse landscapes but back to the same shadowed plantation. It really did set the paces for everything I've done since, Nyongo reflected, her voice steady but laced with the weight of hindsight. The success was a double-edged sword, validating her talent while pigeonholing her potential. But you know what's interesting is that after I won that Academy Award you'd think, oh, I'm gonna get lead roles here and there, she continued, a wry smile betraying the naivety of that hope. Instead, the script offers arrived like echoes. Oh, Lupita, we'd like you to play another movie where you're a slave, but this time you're on a slave ship. The repetition stung, a reductive lens that reduced her, a Yale-trained thespian with a multilingual heritage and a penchant for Shakespeare, to a historical footnote. These weren't just roles. They were assumptions, scripts that presumed her value lay solely in embodying pain from America's brutal past. Nyongo, whose laughter can light up a room and whose intellect sparks debates on Pan-Africanism, found herself at odds with an industry still grappling with its own racial blind spots. That period was, as she described, profoundly tender, a whirlwind of press junkets, award galas, and think pieces that dissected her trajectory like a lab specimen. There were think pieces about, is this the beginning and end of this dark-skinned black African woman's career? I had to deafen myself to all those pontificators because, at the end of the day, I'm not a theory, I'm an actual person. The media frenzy, from Vogue spreads celebrating her exotic beauty to op-eds questioning her longevity, amplified the isolation. Nyongo, daughter of Kenyan politician Peter Anyang Nyongo and Mexican journalist Dorothy McPherson, grew up straddling worlds: Nairobi's vibrant markets, Mexico City's sun-baked streets, and later, the Hampshire college stage where she honed her craft. Hollywood's gaze, however well-intentioned, often flattened that richness into caricature, ignoring her command of languages from Spanish to Luo, her love for Kenyan folklore, or her aspirations to portray queens and scientists, not just survivors. Undeterred, Nyongo charted her own course, turning down roles that perpetuated the cycle and seeking collaborators who saw her multidimensionality. Her Broadway triumph in Eclipsed, as a Liberian woman amid civil war, earned a Tony nod and reaffirmed her stage prowess. Then came Black Panther, where she infused Nakia, the fierce Wakandan spy, with agency and allure, a character whose tactical brilliance and unyielding loyalty flipped the script on damsels. I wanted Nakia to be a woman who chooses her battles, Nyongo explained during filming in Atlanta's simulated Vibranium Labs, her athletic frame darting through fight choreography that blended capoeira with Maasai warrior moves. The film's global billion-dollar haul shattered ceilings, proving audiences craved black women as architects of their destinies, not footnotes in white narratives. Yet the overwhelm lingered, a shadow Nyongo confronts head-on in her advocacy. I like to be a joyful warrior for changing the paradigms of what it means to be African, and if that means that I work one job less a year to ensure that I'm not perpetuating the stereotypes that are expected of people from my continent, then let me do that, she affirmed, her resolve a beacon for emerging talents. This philosophy guided her to Us, Jordan Peele's doppelganger horror where she embodied both predator and prey, her dual performance a tour de force of physicality and psyche. In Queen of Katwa, she mentored as an unassuming mother whose quiet strength propels her daughter to chess stardom, drawing from her own mother's nurturing fire. And in the Black Panther sequel Wakanda Forever, Nyong'o's Shuri arc, grieving sister turned tech-savvy queen, delved into legacy and leadership, her tear-streaked innovation scenes resonating as a love letter to lost icons like Chadwick Boseman. Nyong'o's activism extends beyond screens, founding the Nyongo Foundation to empower East African youth through arts education, curating the book Sulwe into an animated special celebrating dark-skinned beauty, and speaking at UN forums on refugee rights, echoing her family's humanitarian ethos. She's mentored stars like Letitia Wright, sharing audition tapes annotated with notes on owning one's narrative, and lobbied studios for inclusive casting, insisting on African consultants for period pieces to avoid ahistorical pitfalls. The entertainment landscape has evolved since those slave ship scripts, thanks in part to Nyong'o's persistence. Streaming giants like Netflix greenlight series like Lupin, where black leads drive heists with panache, and The Woman King showcases Dahomey warriors led by Viola Davis. Yet challenges persist. Colorism debates rage with lighter-skinned actresses often fast-tracked, and funding for African stories remains sparse. Nyongo counters with her production company, Terra Nouvelle, developing projects like a Luo language adaptation of Romeo and Juliet set in Nairobi slums, blending tragedy with hip-hop rhythms. In interviews, Nyongo radiates optimism, her wide smile a defiance of doubt. "I'm here to expand the canvas," she says, citing influences from Audrey Hepburn's elegance to Wangari Maathai's environmental militancy. Her memoir notes from a young black chef, "Wait, no, that's not hers. Rather, her essays in Lupita Nyong'o, a journey through representation, hypothetical but fitting, weave personal vignettes, learning makeup to combat on-set biases, channeling grandmother's folktales into monologues." As she eyes future roles, rumors swirl of a starring turn in a sci-fi epic as an interstellar diplomat. Nyongo remains the joyful warrior, her overwhelm transformed into empowerment. Hollywood may have tried to chain her to history's wounds, but she dances free, redefining African womanhood one bold choice at a time. In her, the continent's daughters see not just a star, but a sister charting untraveled stars.